Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's session of Live at the Waterhole. We have this looks like two boys with a seriously large elephant leg just there in the foreground. Two male giraffes getting into it a little bit by the looks of it. These look like two adults. Let's see how seriously they take it. My name's Kelly. I'm going to be with you for the next couple of hours to see what we can see. It is Sunday, the 20th of July. It's 12:30 here in not super sunny South Africa today. Please do remember the show is very much live and interactive. We love hearing from everyone that is joining us today, from wherever you may be in the world. Please do send in any questions you have for me to wildearth.tv/questions. I will answer as fully as I can, but I view this opportunity, these 2 hours, as a learning curve for everyone, so please join the conversation on X using #WildEarth, or you can scan the QR code just there on the right of your screens. Send through all of your questions and your comments via WhatsApp on +27 786 302 336. We will get through as many of them as we possibly can over the next couple of hours. See, these are two adult males, fairly equally sized looking to me. They will, well, lots of giraffes do it, but sometimes these males can get quite heavy with each other. It will often be a discussion around reproductive rights to females. I have seen a video clip before, and a giraffe one male has smacked another male, and they've actually gone down hard. But this is really interesting to see that these are two big animals, and I wonder, maybe he's displaying size there. Look how big I am, look how tall I am. There's a fairly hard lateral display going on here, so they're standing side to side. Something that many animals will partake in when they're so did he shove him then, or was it just sort of a walk by? And exit stage left. And they've gone. There is a very unfortunate elephant in the way there. But sometimes they really do get into it. As males mature, they develop, their skulls almost get that, it's sort of like two calcifications, or that their skulls get bigger and heavier basically as they get older. And one theory is that as these skulls get bigger and heavier, it's even more effective to be used as a club like this when they're interacting. There will often be lots of pushing and shoving. They don't see, look, like one gives way, the other gives way. We really do get to see some amazing things with these cameras. This old Onyo camera gives us an endless supply of fascinating behaviours. I've actually sat with like that giraffe's wave, that elephant's waving. I've actually sat with giraffes many times when they've been fighting like this, several times properly. And I think one of the most memorable was it was actually in the dark, and obviously we don't shine lights on animals when it's dark, and we saw the giraffes and we stopped and switched the car off, and just sat and listened, and the clunking sound when they were making proper contact with those long necks and those big heavy skulls was quite it was almost reverberating through the night. Mercedes Bean, greetings, Wild Earth crew and chatters. Welcome, Mercedes Bean. Thank you for joining us. Hello, everyone. Looking forward to your lunchtime special Wild Earth show. Sorry, your special wild show, Penelope Canyon. Thank you for joining us, Penelope, as always. This is this lovely big old one-tusk bull. I'm starting to get to know these individuals we see so often on some of these cameras. Double P, good day to you too. Thank you very much for joining us. Good day, Wild Earth and all. Thank you for being here, and thank you for sharing your Sunday with us. Okay, this is a brilliant question from Iris, aged 7, and India, aged 5, from Hampton in Norfolk. Hello, Iris, and hello, India. There's been much discussion around why elephants suck water up their trunk and squirt it back out. If you mean why they don't drink it, I've been pondering this, and I think a few of us have been trying to work this out. And no one, if they're drinking it like this, is he going to drink it properly? They will suck it up their trunk, Iris and India, and squirt it into their mouths. That's how they drink water. Tiny little baby elephants will sometimes shove their face right in the water to drink it straight into their mouth. But adult elephants, they will use that trunk, they will slurp it out of the water, and then they will squirt it into their mouth, almost using it like a kind of like a straw, I guess. But sometimes they pick it up in their trunk and then just sort of squirt it, or let it dribble out, or it falls out their mouth. Really interesting question, and I don't really know the answer. There's a few trains of thought. The one I came up with the other day is they don't like what they've put in their mouth for whatever reason. And another theory I've heard is that they're just sort of messing about with it. They don't really value it. We don't really know. This is the fun about trying to work things out, Iris and India. Some things we can work out with science, but ultimately we don't really know what's going on in these animals' heads. Iris and India, why do you think they do it? Everyone has an opinion, and everyone's opinion is valid, I think. So why do you two think they do it? Give it some thought. Maybe they're playing with it. Thank you for your question, though, both of you. Please keep watching the show. Mr. Elemental, greetings. Greetings back to you, Mr. Elemental, from a cold and wet Perth in Western Australia. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Elemental. Your presence is appreciated as always. Razizu, good afternoon to you too. You're hoping to see a couple of eland today. We will definitely keep our eyes peeled for some eland. Always lovely to see some of the more unusual characters on these cameras. While we are here with our elephant, someone asked me a couple of days ago, what happens when a matriarch of a herd dies? And it was a really interesting question and really got me thinking about it. It's generally known that if a So elephants are led by a matriarch, which is the oldest, basically not necessarily the oldest, the wisest female. And she will sort of dictate or suggest when they drink, where they go, where they feed, when they move, when they rest, that sort of thing, because she has the experience to do so. And it's generally known that if she dies of either illness or old age, or for whatever reason, the next leader of the herd will be another female, another wise female, sometimes or often a relative, but not necessarily. It's just taking over leadership of that group to keep the family group safe and fed, and someone will sort of take her place. That was how I first took the question.
Now this leopard that we're looking at is known by the name of Hlalamba.
What does it take to handle the wild? Balance. Determination. Focus.
Yaku!
And gear that can take a beating so you don't have to.
Would you like to know what an elephant's favourite food is? You could ask me questions like that in real time. Our safaris are live and interactive from the heart of Africa.
The Fortunas over here.
Watch Safari Live and connect with nature.
Join our expert guides at dawn for a live, immersive safari as the bush comes to life.
Found ourselves a chameleon, and look how he's changed colour.
Every sunrise brings new discoveries.
Pound for pound, a leopard is one of the strongest cats around.
Ask questions, share your thoughts, and connect with nature live and in real time.
Great excitement, great happiness.
Start your day with adventure. Are you ready for the adventure of a lifetime? Wild Earth Travel's newsletter is your passport to a magical journey. Explore exclusive travel options featuring special offers at stunning Wild Earth locations and all hosted by your favorite presenters. Don't miss out. Head over to our website and subscribe to the Wild Earth Travel newsletter today and stay in the know on all our unforgettable adventures. Wild Earth Travel, where Africa comes alive.
I actually read that. It's published in 2006, if anyone wanted to go and have a read. There was lots of numbers and figures and graphs in it. But I found that was fascinating. So it is a matriarch from a different herd. Anyone that doesn't believe elephants or animals feel emotion, I'll boldly say I think you're wrong. Okay, Iris, you think they're playing with the water and having fun. I wouldn't say you're wrong, Iris. Animals play, humans play. Adult animals or adult humans sometimes less. But Iris, I think that's a really good suggestion. It's not about being wrong or right a lot of the time. You know, if someone said elephants can fly, then I'm going to say no. But we don't know. This is the beauty of what keeps most of us either watching the show or watching David Attenborough. One day I'm going to say David Attenborough, Sir David Attenborough, if you're listening, hi. Maybe one day he will be, but it's not likely. But so many people have embraced nature and the natural world because of what he has done. And there's so many interpretations and understandings, and science is developing all the time. Taxonomy drives me mad at the moment because science is advancing so quickly and we're doing so much additional research. Someone actually told me recently that plants have been recorded giving off sounds because of new equipment and new techniques that science is rapidly developing. We're learning more and more and more, and we don't know. So Iris, yeah, I support this theory 100%. Sani, you're asking, how can this bull locate and meet up with the larger members of the elephants? How can this bull? Often they find each other by scent. Elephants, depends on where they are. I think lots of elephants move through this particular area, but many other areas they will have home ranges and be found in kind of similar areas, but often scent, often chance. It depends, but bulls will often seek out reproductively viable females through scent. Palongombe, you're asking when the elephant is pregnant, how many months do they take before giving birth? It's long. It's actually I believe the longest pregnancy in the mammal kingdom. And I found something really interesting a while ago that whales are not. I guessed wrong. Whales are actually pregnant for quite a lot less time, but elephants carry their babies for 22 months. 22 months, that's a long time. Let's head across to Camelthorne. This boy, I think, is going to be this one-tusk boy, having a little game with the water here. But that was lovely seeing those two male giraffes there having a bit of an interaction. Our Camelthorne hippos, hello. I've never actually done a count on these Camelthorne hippos, but there's a lot. I know that much, and we were actually seeing a really interesting behaviour the other day. There was a little tiny hippo, and what I assumed to be mum, and a male was very interested, probably in the female. Maybe she was giving off reproductive availability vibes, and they all lay down. She lay down, baby lay down, and then the male just very calmly laid down next to them, which was really nice to see. Males can often be a little bit bothersome, and I also came up with the idea of he was very, very scratched, which was one of the things that gave me a clue. If you see a male hippo next to a female hippo, often size is a giveaway. But he was very scratched, and I realised that male hippos are probably more likely to be covered in scratches and war wounds than females, and he was indeed absolutely covered in scratches and scrapes. Rian Cortez, you're saying maybe elephants just clean their trunks from dust and mud when sprouting out the water. Yeah, maybe. They're all completely valid reasons, and it's very difficult. It's anyone that's been listening for a while will know I adore behaviour. Watching mammal behaviour, well, any behaviour really, any animal behaviour, I find very, very interesting. And we can make educated assumptions. There's been lots of research in the neurophysiology of behaviour. Very clever people look at which areas of the brain light up when animals feel different things. The same as humans. Neuroanatomy has been heavily studied. I've done some reading on it, but the research is out there. But ultimately, do we really know? How do we really know? I actually had a conversation with someone a few days ago, and we were talking about potentially OCD in animals. And the way I was taught is animals can't technically have obsessive compulsive disorders because that's based on thoughts. And an animal can't say, I'm doing this. We don't really know. They might be showing repetitive behaviours, but the theory behind it, we're never going to know. This little... No, that is absolutely right there from MC. I agree. Animals do show repetitive behaviours. Lots of animals, lots of behaviour concerns. Border collies, they will chase shadows or captive animals. Look at this tiny little hippo. Captive animals, when they pace, that is repetitive behaviour. But ultimately, we don't know that they're obsessed by it, because to be obsessed by something, if I'm obsessed with making the curtains straight, I say, I can't stop making those curtains straight because that's how I'm feeling about it. We never really know what that animal is thinking, so we can only gauge what behaviours they're demonstrating, but we don't ultimately know why. I think the dog version is I can't remember, there's an acronym for it. CCD, canine compulsive disorder. That's it, as opposed to an obsession, which is a thought process. Sorry, drifted off into dog stuff there, but this is a very cute little hippo. I wonder if this is the one we were watching the other day. And every time, and I don't need to check it today because I've checked it enough times. Hippos are tiny when they're born. And my behaviour Bible says between 22 and 55 kilograms when they're born, which is teeny tiny. 22 kilograms is the size of like a border collie, or the weight of a border collie. They're very, very small, and we were also musing that a while ago. They're also not pregnant. I think they're pregnant 8 months, 8, 9 months, 11 months, not long. I will double check, but we think it might be because they spend so much time in water. They don't need to be quite as developed as, say, an elephant who doesn't get the opportunity to use flotation as a method for mobility. So they need to stay in longer to cook. Iris, thank you so much. You're full of the questions today, Iris. Thank you so much for sending them through. How do hippos get their food? Brilliant question, Iris. You would think because they spent so much time in the water that they ate fish or something, but they absolutely do not. They are grazers. I'm not sure what this little one here is doing. There's not much grass to eat. But Iris, what they do, often they will feed more in cool times. So lots of people say hippos eat at night. It's not necessarily night. It's just when it's cool. Their skin is very sensitive, so they spend. Look at this little hippo. They spend a lot of time in their water, Iris, because their skin is sensitive and it doesn't do well with heat. So they will come out of the water to feed when it's cool. This weather at the moment here isn't too hot. It's the middle of the winter here in South Africa, down this side of the world, in the southern hemisphere. So our winter temperatures, it's cold today, it's 23 degrees today, proper winter temperatures. But they will come out and they will graze. They will look for grass. Iris? In the summer when it's very, very hot, they do only normally feed at night time. because it's too hot for them to come out and feed during the day. But if it's drought conditions, so if there's no rain, there's not much grass, they will spend more and more time coming out of the water to feed on the grass. Very, very, very occasionally, you might see them nibble on a bit of water plant or something, but it's very, very unusual. You see that hippo looked really cumbersome when it got up then, but don't be fooled. Hippos can run at great speed. It always stuns me when you see a rhino, how quick and light on their feet they are when they move. Deb D, yes, this is a little wee one. Can't be very old. I'm not very good at aging hippo. Well, I feel like I'm getting worse at aging lots of animals because everything is so dependent on resources and scale and all sorts of things. But I'm trying to work out from the screen how heavy it is. I would say, Deb, less than 6 months old, but I find it quite difficult to tell. I couldn't tell you the difference in a 3 month or a 6 month or possibly even a 8-9 month old baby hippo, to be honest, because we don't see them out of the water that often is one of the main reasons, and I haven't had much chance to practice. Lovely to see this little guy though, this hippo. I'm trying to work out how we can remember and see if we can spot him again in the future, but I don't have a plan. Let's go over to Jabulani. I think we've got a nice giraffe maybe having a spot of lunch across there at Jabulani. He's got his head right in those trees up there. Actually had a giraffe clonking around outside the bedroom last night, and checked on the camera, and it was pretty much had its nose against the roof, which was quite cool. Really leaning into the trees, same as this guy is doing now, getting his head right in there, trying to make the most of any nutrients he can get from any vegetation this time of year. So this is Hoodspray. This is pretty much where I am, and this is exactly what the trees around here look like at the moment. Quite a lot of oranges. There's some green still left around. Seeing this giraffe doing this reminds me of the giraffe, surprisingly, are technically sometimes known as pollinators. So when they stick their heads into trees like this, they will get pollen on their heads and their faces and their eyelashes, and actually move it between trees. So you think of things like birds and insects as pollinators. Mammals can also very much be involved in the process of pollination, so moving, helping trees to breed, basically, or reproduce. Do trees breed? No, they reproduce. Oh, that sounds exciting. I would love to go and see billions and billions of zebra at Morella. That is a lot of zebra, and I have seen at Morella there are indeed quite a lot of zebra there. I've been trying to work out when, because there is sort of a... I think your numbers are absolutely spot on. There is indeed high numbers of zebra, and you see, there's billions and billions. I think I counted loosely in a zoomed out shot here the other day. Like I stopped counting at like 100. It's quite difficult to count properly. It's a lot, and I think I would be inclined to agree this is probably the highest, other than the full migration that we all know very well, are aware of in detail anyway. Look at this little, what's this little baby doing coming in? You see that young foal that just came in, trotted in? It looks like it was on its own. Ooh. You see this foal is just, look. See this, ooh. This little one at the front, it almost looked like it moved in on its own. Which is quite, see, look. Shame, where are you going? Not on his own, obviously, there's lots of other zebra there, but normally with zebra, the little ones stay very close to mum. Certainly in this situation, because you don't want to get lost in that lot. See, look, is that the same one coming in from the left? Oh, maybe. Okay. Maybe that's mum with him there, maybe. Maybe he got too excited and trotted off to the water on his own. But even in these, even especially in these sort of situations, little ones need to stay close to mum. It's easy to get lost, it's easy to get confused. So they tend to stick nice and close. Oh, Diane, thank you. Diane from Cape Town. Hi, Kelly. That baby looked a little bit bigger than the one sleeping next to its mum the other day. It's difficult, hey? I was trying to get a scale on it, and I do find it tough. I've actually currently got my screen away from my...
Join me for a magical safari to India, a wildly exotic land of tigers, temples and Kipling. To start, we'll head to Pench and then to Doba to look for the famed Bengal tiger, as well as deer in the dappled forests, sloth bears and countless birds. We'll stay in stunning eco-lodges that blend luxury with a light footprint. Our Indian adventure culminates in Agra with a sunrise visit to the Taj Mahal.
The Wild Earth Impact Foundation is a non-profit that uses the power of wildlife storytelling as a force for good. We create sustainable development projects that showcase conservation stories, empower people, and inspire environmental action. As a registered South African PBO, you can make a tax-deductible donation to the Wild Earth Impact Foundation. To find out more, visit our website. Join our expert guides at dawn for a live, immersive safari as the bush comes to life.
Found ourselves a chameleon, and look how he's changed colour.
Every sunrise brings new discoveries.
Pound for pound, a leopard is one of the strongest cats around.
Ask questions, share your thoughts, and connect with nature, live and in real time.
Great excitement, great happiness.
Start your day with adventure.
I've never operated outside of South Africa, but I've seen video clips of a sleeping lion surrounded by 25 vehicles, and it's flat asleep. So it depends. It depends on the noise, it depends on the environment, it depends on how much exposure that animal has had to vehicles. It depends on what has happened to that animal that particular day. Sometimes an elephant will have minimal interest in a vehicle. But if, for example, this elephant we've just seen here has just had a aggravating interaction because a load of zebras were drinking his water, and he then walked around the corner into a vehicle, he may have a very different reaction to that. So no solid answer for you, Mr. Wright in Guiana. It just depends on the situation. Iris, we've got our eland. Who was it that was looking for eland today? Who was it? Who was keen to see some eland? There we go. Razezu. Hope to see a couple of eland today. Ta-da! Oh look, we've got a oryx there as well. And some zebra. Wow. Judging by the congregations of animals at this water, I don't think there's much water for quite a long way around, to be honest. Or maybe maybe this is better water. But yeah, see, all of these animals, I wouldn't want to share water with any of them, to be honest. Those insane horns on those gemsbok. Eland, big antelope, super heavy. Zebra can be vicious, and an elephant. So that suggests that this is probably the best water for quite a long way around. Sorry, Iris, I got sidetracked. Why do zebra have stripes? Another brilliant question. There are a few theories. The main one is that it helps to keep them safe, because if you sort of squint your eyes a bit now, Iris, and look at that screen, when they're all gathered together like that, it's quite difficult to see where one zebra starts and where the other zebra finishes. It's just like a jumble of stripes. And if you're a lion trying to eat a zebra, it's difficult to pick out which leg do I grab hold of, it's confusing. Another theory is temperature regulation. White reflects heat, but then why wouldn't they all be white? Another is thermoregulation. Another theory is flies struggle to land on things with stripes. I don't know if that would have really made zebra evolve stripes, but there has been a study done, people putting stripy blankets on horses, and apparently the flies find it difficult to work out, I don't know what's going on. And they don't land as regularly. So there's lots of theories, Iris. Iris, I would love to hear your theory, because I enjoyed your elephant playing with the water idea. So Iris, I would love to hear why you think zebra have stripes. But it seems to be most people suggest it's to make them harder to catch. Jive Bunny, yes, it does look a bit crowded at Old Tonio. I was thinking the same thing. But let me see what this says. Look, and they're just walking through it as well, kicking up all the sediment. But I'm trying to work out how I could actually find out. Let me make some homework for myself. I would love to know, because I've never been to Kenya, let alone to El Doño. I would love to know sort of the actual layout of this property, as in, are there other water points, where boundaries are, that sort of thing. because for that many zebra, or for zebra to not run when an elephant asks them to, suggests that they don't have too many other options. I'm going to put this, I'm going to make a note, otherwise I will forget, and it's just said Old Donna. It's not Old Donna. Well, Zuzu, I'm glad you got your eland. They are fabulous, fabulous antelope, or are they antelope? Bovidae. They're fabulous, and we don't normally get to spend too much time with eland, or indeed these gemsbok. Beautiful patterns on these gemsbok as well, but yeah, eland, especially the bulls, I find them very they look like the cave paintings to me. That's when you say cave painting, I see eland. Mapala 714, you are asking, is it easy to differentiate male and female zebra? It depends on what angle you've got, to be perfectly honest. One method is sometimes males have, in my opinion, they sometimes have thicker stripes, so they seem to have more black on them to me, and they've got chunkier necks. Some people will say if you look under their tail, female have a thick black stripe under their tail. See, I would guess, these two that are standing here, I would guess the one on the left is a male and the one on the right is a female, because you see how thick those black lines are. I might be completely wrong. Females have a thick black line under their tail and males don't. That is, it's because that's where the female's vagina is, the vulva is at the back. Obviously males don't have that, so that's the difference at the back end under the tail. Or you look underneath, and if you've got a penile sheath underneath, then that is a male, and if there isn't, then that's a female. But I think I may have I could be completely wrong. See, that one with the thicker stripes is actually smaller. So yeah, that's why my first theory doesn't always work. And behaviour. If that zebra has got a little one that's following her around all the time, then that's almost definitely mum, which makes it a female. So is it easy? No. It depends on what angle you've got and what you're seeing. But you see when they're lined up like that how very different those stripe patterns are. That one with the thicker stripes almost looks quite rounded. But that's why I'm giving up on sexing animals. I'm giving up on taxonomically classifying animals, and I'm giving up on aging animals, because invariably, unless you've got empirical evidence, you get it wrong. So yeah. Often you will find, if there's a group of zebra as well, a male will be walking at the back. The stallion of the herd, the male of the herd, will be walking at the back. And the way someone phrased it to me was, these zebra are all really kindly lining up in front of the camera. Come on, I'd love to see if this one... Come on, turn around a bit. Someone once called zebra the gentleman of the bush. And they're always ushering their females, they're guiding their family, keeping an eye on them from behind to make sure everything is going fine. Are you a male? See, I don't know. I haven't been able to tell from this angle what sex any of these zebra are, to be perfectly honest. So Mapello 714, is it easy to differentiate male and female zebras? No. Sometimes males will also have a thicker neck. Right? So thanks guys at SC there. I've given up on sexing things, aging things, and formal taxonomic classifications of things. See, that was probably a male, but oh, I think that's a brilliant idea. I would love to go over to Tembe with some elephants. I haven't visited Tembe for a while. I would love to see what's happening there. And yes, someone said this water has receded. It has. There is an inlet, but I'm going to do some research on exactly see if I can find out the sort of water implementation stroke management system around Aldonio is, because that's crazy. I've never seen an elephant ask an animal to leave a space and they've sort of not gone. I think one of my favourite and recent mis-sexing of an animal was a rhino at Founders, and I said often, females have a longer, thinner horn, longer, thinner, not too thick at the base. This rhino here looks like it's got quite a thick base. I can just see its head. Thick base to the horn, not very long. Looks like it's been rubbing. Often territorial males will rub their horn, and you can see the rub marks. And then the camera zoomed out, and it's a female stood there with a baby. I was like, oh, okay, well, and there we go. See again with this water dribbling. I'd love to know what this elephant's thinking. This I support your idea of giraffe. It just said in my ear, giraffe overthinkers. I've phrased it differently about giraffes before. They always look a little bit confused to me. If you watch a giraffe, I feel like they just sort of stand there, not really knowing what to do with themselves. But it does. I agree. This elephant looks like he's considering whatever's going on, he's actually giving it some thought. But this angle on this elephant, see, this is a male. I could see his penis sheath from that angle, so I can call it. But if you look at his legs, he's not a baby, but he's not like a massive elderly 50-year-old bull. And I've noticed sometimes sort of mid-age bull elephants, look how long his front legs are. To me, his front legs almost look disproportionately long. You watch her turn sideways and it turns out to be a female. But yeah, I found it interesting that sometimes these sort of mid-aged bulls have long, gangly looking legs. But see, I would love to know what that elephant's thinking. I did mention a while ago, I'm doing a workshop in August, spending 5 days working with captive wildlife on behaviour, emotionality, that sort of thing. And the last day is with elephants. And I'm really... See, look, what? Why did he do that? Could be playing, could be rinsing his trunk out, could be that he's disrespecting the water, could be that it tasted funny.
it looks like we have just located on a beautiful leopardess known as Tlalamba.
Do you want to know why impala are the most common antelope we find here in the Kruger National Park? You can ask me questions like this in real time. Our safaris are live and interactive here in the heart of Africa. Join me on Safari Live. Connect with nature.
Step away from your daily stress and escape into nature with Wild Earth. Immerse yourself in the wilderness and become part of the natural landscape. Watch as everything comes alive. Join us as we slow down our thoughts, put aside our distractions, and reconnect with the wild.
Questions. I'm so glad that you've shared the channel with your classmates, and anyone that goes to the same school as Iris and India, aged 5 and 7, from Hampton, Norfolk. Welcome to the channel. Tell your friends, send all of your questions in. It makes me incredibly happy that you're enjoying it, and yeah, you are the future of conservation of this planet, so jump in, get involved, learn more, and never stop asking questions. Daniel Sophia, can a tusker be a male or female? Yes. A tusker, to me, there's a few different definitions, but a tusker is basically an elephant with big tusks. African elephants, females and males, can have tusks. I believe in Indian elephants it's Oh, let's go have a look at a baby something at Aldonio. I did actually see it earlier, and if it's the same one I think it was, I might know what it is, but let's go and have a look what the baby thing is at Aldonio. It is indeed a baby gemsbok. I don't see many baby gemsbok. Actually, someone was asking a while ago, when do horns develop? Quite early. I never 100% say either anymore. Do you remember I said a minute ago that I'm not doing species? I'll normally take a stab at, but even species I sometimes get wrong, and that's okay. But that's how we all learn together. But yeah, so someone asked a while ago, are gemsbok born with horns? No, not quite, but they do develop very, very quickly. And yes, I saw this little one earlier just before we started. I saw a clip of this young one, and it does look injured. Not too bad. Amazing. Animals are incredibly resilient. I've seen animals with some dreadful injuries before, with faces hanging off and broken legs, and they bounce back quite unbelievably. So this little one doesn't look too bad. Maybe he's got a stone in his foot or something. Ha! Okay. East African oryx. I've just been corrected by one of the zoomies. I have never heard of an East African oryx. I'm going to immediately do some reading, so excuse me if I'm flicking in my book. I have always believed, and this is why I said I don't do taxonomy, so it may well have changed. I always thought that an oryx and a gemsbok were the same thing. So I tell you what, I'm not going to do it now. I'm going to do some taxonomic reading around the taxonomic classifications of gemsbok stroke oryx, because that is news to me. It could well be a newly classified subspecies. Let's make a note. Note made. I apologise if I got that wrong. Taxonomy does change rapidly, but I will go and investigate further. Oh, we've got lots of questions coming in. Yes, Daniel Sophia, a tusker can be male or female. To me, a tusker is basically an elephant with big tusks. I've seen a couple of statements made that they can be classified as a tusker if the ivory is over 45 kilograms, but I guess it's subjective really. And female African elephants can indeed have big tusks. Indian elephants, I don't think the females can have tusks, but an African tusker can be male or female. Jive Bunny, hyenas are the most difficult to work out sex. Yep, very, very difficult. Again, I would normally go on behaviour. I remember a situation where a hyena was believed to be male for a very, very long time. They had a baby. So that was the end of that. But yeah, it can be very, very tricky. Dark mane lover, brilliant. See, there's that little. Oh, shame that one does look a little bit sore, hey? Sorry, Mayesh. You say that gemsbok looks pregnant. Quite possibly. I'm too scared to call it a gemsbok now. So I'm not going to call it anything until I've gone away and checked my workings. Dark mane lover. Kelly, if animals spoke the human language. Oh, I'll be sitting here rambling about this for the rest of the show, Dark mane lover. If animals spoke the human language, who would I love to have a conversation with, and what would you talk about? Wow. I'm going to have to give that more thought. I'll be thinking about that in my dreams tonight, Dark mane lover, but what a brilliant question. Off the top of my head, it's too difficult to answer. That's a valid point. You would like to chat to some of the characters and also elephants because you think they know a lot. I'd go domestic animals, I think, because I don't know. I think I'd probably go domestic animals because I feel more involved in their lives, or I have more right to be nosier, or I don't know. No, I'm going to have to give that a lot more thought because I'll just ramble for the next hour otherwise. Who else have we got? Mapalo 714. Why do elephants that are old like to be alone? How shall I take that? I'll take that in two different ways, two different contexts. Firstly, you might be referring to elephants leave the herd to die. maybe the elephant graveyard scenario. Often elephants will go to where there's soft vegetation. When their teeth, when they stop being able to feed nicely, elephants have 6 sets of teeth. When that last set of teeth has been used up, they can't feed on hard stuff and they basically die of starvation. So they will often move to an area where there's soft vegetation. So you could mean that. Or bulls. Very rarely do you find female elephants alone, whatever their age, unless they've gone to, even females, I think, they often still stay with a herd anyway. They've got such close family ties. As I said earlier, I was reading that study about Eleanor in Samburu. She died with her herd. Maybe you mean these adult bulls. They don't really need to be with herds. They're quite happy on their own. Sometimes they'll have a few guy friends that they might hang out with. Sometimes you find them with herds when they're looking for reproductive opportunities. See, what was that? What was that? That was just disdain for that water. Someone actually said yesterday, maybe they're just frustrated that they haven't got good water and this water just isn't delicious, and they're just begrudgingly playing with it. But yeah, these maybe you mean these adult males, these adult bulls. They don't need to be in a group. They do their own thing, what they want, when they want, basically. Oh, Ivan, excellent question. See, this is my vibe. Some animal behaviour seems predictable and some spur of the moment. What's my favourite? I really enjoy it when I predict something's going to happen. It makes me very, very happy. The other day there was 2 elephants on a slope. And I said, see, this elephant at the top has stopped to do this and he's telling this elephant to do this. I said, you watch, soon as this elephant's done that, now this elephant's done this. That makes me really happy because I'm a sad geek, Ivan, to be honest. Possibly the slightly more predictable side of behaviour, because, I don't know, if it's unpredictable, I like to try and work out why. Why is this happening? What was the value in that? Certainly with domestic animals and dogs, if you watch long enough, you can really start to understand how animals are feeling just by watching their bodies. Just Kendra, you're saying you'd talk to an otter for sure. They seem like they're always enjoying themselves. Yeah, what animal would I talk to and what would we talk about? I don't know. I think I still think it would probably be a dog. It would probably be a domestic dog, and I'd want to try and get to the bottom of. I'd probably want to try and get... Okay, let's go over to Tao. See, we had mating crocodiles at Tao the other day. That was super cool. But I think I'd probably want to talk to a domestic dog and ask them things like, do you really plan things? You know, are you thinking about what you're going to do at 6 o'clock tonight? Or is it just going to happen? I think that's the sort of conversation I'd want to have. Are you worried about what you're going to have for dinner in 3 days? Those sorts of things, to find out. These waterbuck have been chomping this water vegetation here for a while now. I'd talk to a domestic dog, and they're the sort of questions I would ask. I'm not sure which domestic dog. Probably Sash, if I could. But they're the sort of questions I would ask. Like, what are your thought processes? Because then I think if you could get that information from one animal, you'd be able to sort of stretch it out across other species. Okay, someone else has just said. One of the Zoomers has just said, AKA fringe ear oryx. Let me try and check. There was a spoonbill in the back just then. You do really get some great birds here at Tau. Ha, okay. I did not know that. I apologise profusely, anyone that's listening. There are indeed two subspecies. There's Oryx bisa and Oryx gazella. And Oryx bisa is the East African oryx, or the bisa oryx, East Africa near threatened. And the bisa oryx there's bisa oryx and a fringe-eared oryx. So the fringe-eared oryx is a subspecies of the East African stroke bisa oryx, or the Oryx gazella is a gemsbok. I didn't know that. Thank you. This is how we learn. There's still plenty of water here at Tau. This is a pumped pan, but look at all these waterbuck that are in this water now, feeding on this aquatic vegetation. Sounds like someone might be doing a little bit of work here. Let's go across to Founders. I found it really interesting at Founders Lodge how the light has been changing. Oh, that's a lovely image as well, though. This winter light has been very, very pretty. And I think this is this female that I missexed at some point as well. I'm just looking here about this oryx split. Genetic studies have only confirmed that split is supported, and they were distinct species sort of late 90s, early 2000s. So that is a fairly recent split. I should have known that. But it is only, again, with science advancing, that genetic research has actually confirmed that split. So there's an Arabian oryx, a scimitar oryx, East African oryx, and a gemsbok. And that East African oryx is split into two subspecies, which is the Bisa oryx and the fringe-eared oryx. Fascinating. this could potentially lead us down the path of. I actually went to a talk a few months ago about rhino taxonomic classifications. It's black rhino species and subspecies and split subspecies and geographical variations in species diversity, and it can get complicated. Is this little guy going to have a scratch? Yeah, not today. I've seen some rhino having a really good scratch there on that rock. They will have a drink. They will do a bit of mudding and then have a good old scratch on that rock. Good morning, Sandy Franklin 69. Thank you for joining us. I don't know what that is. Look like some horns. Sandy Franklin 69, welcome. Oh, they were sable horns. Thank you very much for that. They looked quite straight. But let's go back. Sorry, I'm getting confused. Sandy Franklin 69, good morning. Thank you for getting started and thank you for including us in your start to the day. I've now forgotten where we're going to now, but we're going to go there anyway. Let's see what we've got. Hold on. These zebra really are taking over the waterhole here today. So Mr. One-Tusked Elephant has departed to give these zebra a chance. Just Kendra, I completely agree. We're talking about talking to animals and communication and body language. Just Kendra, they talk to us in their own ways. They really do. They really, really do. I think it's our responsibility as humans. We cohabit this amazing planet with so many other diverse species, including 4 different species of oryx, I now discover. It is our responsibility to listen to them or learn how to listen to them.
This is an unbelievable afternoon.
Would you like to know at what age a buffalo calf gets its horns? These are questions that you can ask me in real time. Our safaris are live and interactive here in the heart of Africa. Join me on Safari Live and connect with nature.
Out here, every wild moment counts, and as a Wild Earth explorer, you won't miss a thing.
Incredible.
Watch the Wild Earth channel ad-free 24/7 and rewind if you want to catch something again. Enjoy behind-the-scenes videos, fireside chats, and early access to travel offers. The best way to stay connected and be part of the Wild Earth family.
Is my current focus, is my current passion, and anyone else that shows a tiny bit of interest in it, I will ramble all day long about it. I find it absolutely fascinating, but again, it's because we don't know. Looks like we've got an elephant drinking rotation going on here. So our one tusk has moved off. I think it was the day before yesterday we were watching here at Ordonio, and the troublesome wonky ear. He's got sort of some of the cartilage has bent some of one side of one of his ears forward. I remember him because he is the one that old One Ton gave a hefty nudge. It's probably a bit more than a nudge, shove. We did think briefly that maybe there'd been an actual wound inflicted, but I don't think there was. While I was watching here the other day, just as we were about to finish, Wonky Ear turned up, and you could see all there were sort of 3 other elephants. Everyone went, oh no, it's him. There was a definite reaction to his presence. Like when that one person that's looking for trouble walks into a bar, everyone goes, oh no. I think that's the response that Mr. Wonky Ear is eliciting at the moment. It amazes me how everything ebbs and flows at these pans. I haven't. When was I last in the cougar? Oh, it was a few weeks ago now. And I sat for a while, but I keep meaning to sit for longer. Lake Panic in the cougar is known for being a really good place to sit and wait at. But water is life. And if you sit long enough, life will just happen around you or happen around the water. And if you're there, you will be part of it. There we go. Who's this? Just see a little bit of trunk on the right. But everything there's almost a rhythm, especially at this Ordonio pan. Always coming, going. But I have noticed quite a lot of these big bulls, they do loiter at this pan. And someone suggested the other day it might be because when the inlet is on or off, this is one tusk come back again. They maybe hang around here. Someone also suggested that it might be like a meeting point for the boys. It could well be, but I'm sure I did read somewhere that this is the elephant population in this area is fairly transient. I don't know if that is different for different times of year. I know that elephant in this area, they often, while they're not sort of technically migratory, sometimes you'll find them in more in some areas than others. Often they will relocate somewhat to when the marula trees are in fruit. They often sort of almost vanish from particular areas, and I know certainly in the dry season, if you want to find an elephant, you drive along the rivers. This is a nice respectful interaction so far. That was an interesting start though with those two male giraffe. There was some seriousness, I think, in that interaction. Often we see giraffes and there's just sort of a little bit of activity, but nothing too important. I think those two males at the start there were probably on the brink of taking things to another level. Often if they are necking and swinging their heads like that, any posturing or displays or requests are starting to be ignored by both parties, and that's how things tend to escalate.
For years we've shared virtual wildlife. Now let's experience it for real. I'm Lauren Arthur, and I'd love to show you my amazing home here in the Greater Kruger of South Africa. This 5-night journey is an exclusive connection to my piece of untamed Africa. I live here in these gorgeous landscapes surrounded by epic wildlife. The wild is calling, so come and join me.
Oh, even a hyena coming into the action as well now. Oh my word! She's stalking the hyena now. Leopard, hyena, lion, all together in one shot. Oh. Whoa. This is action-packed.
Would you like to know the difference between a male and a female wildebeest? You can ask me questions like this in real time. Our safaris are live and interactive here in the heart of Africa. Join me on Safari Live and connect with nature.
Four nights, and I put my windscreen up and I snuggled up in the front seat with her, and I got her a blanket and tried to stop too much wind getting on her face, and it's going to make me quite emotional. And she didn't miss a single drive. She wasn't very well, but she did not miss a single drive. Every single impala we saw, every single thing we saw, every time we saw a zebra, she would squeal with delight. Oh, look at the zebra! She would get so excited. Every single impala, look, there's an impala. And it was just the most amazing experience for me to be able to give her that opportunity, or to allow for it to happen. And then I remember when she left, she said, this is going to be my only chance, thank you so much for making it special. And that ended up being the reason I was I was guiding, it was just such an honour to be able to engage with people like that. Yeah, yesterday, it was 11 years ago. I remember Gloria well. It's so nice watching these two males amicably share different sides of this waterhole. Sunday vibes, I'm getting Sunday vibes now. Wildlife Lady, it's a pleasure. There were many opportunities I had like that when I was guiding full time. I met some amazing people. And while it was, it was always very cool seeing elephants and lions and stuff. That never gets old. It was very special being able to open that world up to other people as well. There was I've got so lots of guest stories. There was a English lady, and I'm sure I could say there's no names, I was going to mind. And we were coming back from, that's interesting, Moonbeam Smith. What makes a bad guest experience? Do I know what makes a bad guest or a bad guest experience? They're two very different questions. That's individual. What different experiences for different people. I can't really answer that. I've always seen it as a bit of a challenge, Moonbeam Smith. That if often I find people that come on, hello, giraffe. Also joined the party here. Again, everyone's still getting on. See, look how close this giraffe is to these elephants. I've never seen giraffe drink this close to elephants. That was a nice sort of silhouette then. There's like two elephants with a giraffe in the middle. If that giraffe goes back a little bit, it will actually make a really nice screen shot there. I often see, especially if it's a couple or even a family, people that come on safari, there's normally one that was more enthusiastic than the other one. One of them normally went because the other one really, really wanted to, and I've always sort of seen it as a bit of a challenge to win over the person that was just waiting to go on the next part of their holiday, and they just had to get the animal thing out the way. But no, I've had amazing I've got so many stories about amazing guests. If you were talking about what makes a bad guest, Moonbeam Smith. Oh no, I don't think I can answer that. Disrespectful towards nature. I've always found that very difficult. I have been known to leave sightings after it's been requested that someone keeps their voice down, or whatever it is. But I've often found as well, it's sometimes lack of understanding. I would imagine most people that are listening to this show, you're all here because you're enjoying watching, probably not me getting taxonomy wrong quite so much, but you're all here because you want to, watch what's happening with these animals. So you've all got a fairly good understanding and a fairly good respect already. But often people have never seen what a wild elephant would do. Like they've never have seen a couple of pictures of elephants, in books or whatever, and that's it. They have had no other exposure or experience. So I have found as well, sometimes lack of respect can also be caused by a lack of understanding. But that's my job. As a guide, that's my job, to help people to be enlightened, to understand, to become respectful. That's my job. So if they remain disrespectful, either I've failed in my job, or they are just the sort of person that is never going to find the depth of understanding for nature to allow them to be respectful, in which case that's also fine. But who else can I tell you about? There's a little black-backed puffback in my garden. There was a lady from England once, and we were coming back from the airport, and there was a leopard sleeping next to the road, and the leopard was still there on the way back, and I pointed this leopard out, and she screamed. I said, "Don't scream, don't scream." She burst into tears. She said she'd been saving her whole life. She was desperate to see a leopard. Oh my God. In there, I said, "Look, you're going to have to stop screaming. You're going to scare it." And I think I was with them for 3 days, and she told me on that first afternoon that she'd grown up as a little girl with a picture on her wall of a leopard's tail dangling down from in a tree. And I don't know where she got it from. She was a lady in her 60s, but she'd had this vision of this leopard's tail dangling down from a tree. And we saw a leopard a couple of times, and we had a rule where I was that you were only allowed to, if you saw lions, if there was more lions somewhere, then we couldn't go back to lions and back to lions and back to lions, because it's disrespectful, it's not necessary, and those animals shouldn't need to have any pressure on them more than they need to. And we'd had a lovely leopard sighting with a female leopard, and we were almost back at the lodge, and someone said that there was a male leopard in the area, but the visual was terrible. All you could see was his tail dangling down. And I went, it was the last thing we saw before they checked out. And she cried and she cried and she cried. It's an absolute honour to be able to give people some of those experiences. No, I'm not giving them, I'm just there. I don't think giving them is hello, this waterhole is crazy. And now we've got warthog here as well. I'm not giving people the experiences, I'm enabling nature to give them the experiences. How arrogant would I need to be to say, I'm giving these people these amazing experiences? I'm totally not. I'm opening them up to nature, which is in itself amazing. Ooh, I would love to go over to Victoria Falls. Yeah, you're right, you run warthogs. Shame, piggies. Victoria Falls, I think we might have some more warthog across there, and maybe some vultures. These boys are getting along just fine. Oh, wow. I wasn't expecting that. Okay. Marinda, you would like to know if vultures would take a bite out of an animal sleeping nearby. Warthog at Victoria falls asleep right next to vultures eating. Warthog is sleeping like a log. I don't know if you telepathically saw this, or you knew this, or you knew we were going here. I don't know, but yes, well, that hooded vulture stood on that log. It's looking a bit peckish. Let's watch and see what he does. It's not going to like eat the warthog. Watch. Those vultures look like they're going to peck that pig. Let's watch. I don't think they're not going to sort of get flesh off them. And these, if I'm not mistaken, some of these hooded vultures. Oh, okay, that explains the brilliance of it. Miranda Zazumi, who asked the question, so you could see it before us. That makes a lot more sense. But brilliant question. We will address it. Not many. I think there's a few records of leopard-faced vultures hunting. But most vultures don't hunt. They feed on carrion and carcasses. So take it, unless that warthog was dead, they probably wouldn't. What would they do if one of those warthogs was injured? Might give it a try. But look at how these hooded vultures, this bird at the top, almost got quite a blue face. Could be a sub-adult hooded vulture. Hooded vultures' faces normally go redder. So if they're juvenile-ish, youngish birds, they're maybe more likely to do strange things than adult birds. That looks like a white-backed vulture on the left. This is the only spot of shade these warthog have squished themselves into. Even then, that shade looks like it's moving. But those vultures do look like they're thinking about having a peck. Would it be to get warthog meat? No, not really. Might be like a bug or something on there, could see. It's unusual because vultures aren't really insect feeders. Well, they're not insect feeders. But as we often say about what things eat, at the end of the day, food is food is food. I had a long discussion about dussies eating eggs a while ago. Those vultures are definitely looking at them though. And let me check and see exactly what hooded vultures have been recorded eating. Okay. Primarily a scavenger, and offal dumps. Also takes termites. So it could be, I could be right. If they'll eat termites, why wouldn't they eat other parasite type things if there were indeed parasites hanging around on these warthogs? It's possible. See, this says it also takes termites and dung. That's a bit confusing. I don't know why they would actually eat dung. Let's see if it explains it more. Huh, okay. That's what that means. Okay, moist lion droppings. Okay, that would make more sense as opposed to dung. If you say dung to me, I think of it as herbivore dung. But yeah, I'm sure there's... It's quite unpleasant, but I'm sure there's... Look. I think that the vultures may be trying to pick something off that warthog. And if they'd eat termites, then why wouldn't they, is what I would say. Lion dung, in times of hardship, that's going to be quite... don't want to think about it too much, but I can see why that might happen. Also, it eats catfish stranded in drying pools, and in Tanzania, there's a record of a hooded vulture killing and flying off with a tawny eagle nestling. So, while it's very, very unusual, not impossible. And the fact that these are, these do look like to be mostly juvenile birds. They're sort of bluey faces. Those bluey faces actually remind me of the faces of juvenile battaliers as well. It could be that there's bugs under these warthogs. Bugs or parasites or ticks. They're completely unbothered though, aren't they, those warthogs? I wouldn't be over keen because hooded vultures are known for, if there is a carcass, it will be these guys that would be the fine toothpicks, and they will take eyes out of carcasses. And I mean, I know all these warthogs have got their eyes shut probably, but yeah, they're still quite sharp beaks.
This unfolds in front of you.
At Wild Earth, we believe every story has the power to create change. That's why we've launched the Wild Earth Impact Foundation, a non-profit dedicated to conservation and social impact. By showcasing conservation stories, we can change lives, protect nature, and empower communities. We have partnered with Empowers Africa to accept tax-deductible donations from US donors. Your donation will help fund critical programs that support our mission. Join us and be part of the change.
Welcome to Safari Spotlight. We'll be
And you pretend like you're a salesman, eh?
Got no idea what's going on this reserve.
Expecting the unexpected.
Are we stuck down there?
What am I trying to do?
So we have another giant of Mabula.
That was incredible.
This is unbelievable.
It's going to be a spectacular afternoon.
Every month, something wild lands in your inbox. From rare sightings and behind-the-scenes secrets to expert stories, seasonal changes, and exclusive travel opportunities. The Wild Earth Journal is your free monthly mailer, packed with the magic of the wild straight from the field. It's fun, it's free, it's full of surprises. Sign up now on the Wild Earth website.
It almost looks like those warthogs have settled down beautifully for a little Sunday afternoon snooze. It's actually interesting to see those two birds on the left of the screen there. Looks like a white-backed vulture stood next to a hooded vulture. Get off! Looks like they're eating a bit of vertebrae or something there. And that was just a nice demonstration of how that hooded vulture tried to pick like a toothpick, get that meat off, and that whiteback is probably going to go, That's my vertebrae. But anyway, let's leave these warthogs here snoozing beautifully with their feathered supervisors and head back across to Tow Lodge. Oh, I was supposed to actually let them know there at Tow that we'd seen mating crocodiles. I'm convinced they were mating. And I think a couple of other people said they'd seen that sort of similar behaviour. And if that's the case, this is often the mating time for crocodiles. Maybe look out for eggs being laid October to December time. I think I do seem to recall someone, it would be a female crocodile, eggs have been laid here before, but they didn't survive. I think a big problem would be the location, because there are so frequently big mammals around here. It's going to make it difficult for them to... I don't forget there was a big dam in the middle of Madikwe called Klo Dam or Elephant Dam. Klo is Swana for elephant. And I once stopped counting at like 200 elephants there. It was always a little bit of a mission to know if you would get into the dam or out of the dam, because there was just elephants everywhere. And a couple of female ostrich made their nests very close to Klo Dam. And it was open. It was good sort of substrate. And the eggs didn't make it because there was just elephants everywhere. And we all said, why would you do that? And I feel like that might be while... obviously, crocodiles don't just sort of plop the eggs on the top. My thought would be that it might be difficult to keep those nest sites safe unless they chose their locations quite well, which they might do. That would be super cool, but I would say it would probably need to be at a side bank, or certainly not along this main area where all of our elephants and other large mammals drink. Lovely spoonbill there. Lovely opportunity to see these cool spoonbills. Very, very cool birds. Look at that crazy beak there, used for filter feeding through the silt. Perfectly designed for their chosen, well, they're not their chosen, but their adapted feeding style. Normally feeding on little aquatic invertebrates and little fish by using that bill to almost sickle through the water. Lots of these birds, especially the filter feeders, have very sensitive beaks or bills. I never know whether or not to call it a bill or a beak. Can feel the tiniest movement on their mouth parts to snap closed on any food resources they might come across. There's another one of our crocs. It was definitely, I think was it this one? I think the one that was being mated with did have that very clear dark stripe, light stripe, light stripe, dark stripe, light stripe, light stripe along the tail. I did try and memorize it to see if we could keep an eye on watch which of the crocodiles it was being mated with.
My name is Amy, and today we're going to be doing things a little bit differently.
What does it take to handle the wild? Balance. Determination. Focus.
Yaku!
And gear that can take a beating so you don't have to.
Of lighter crocs, but I guess we're just going to have to wait and see. It would be very cool to get one of these crocs laying eggs. Maybe we could get some little ones. Our Egyptian goose, This water is receding here, but this is one of the... Oh, it's such a special place. This waterhole is always full of life. There is a lot more vegetation visible now the water levels have dropped. But always very, very cool to be able to see what's happening at Tau. There's almost always something happening there. What's in there? Is there something in there? There's something in that bush? When I first got to Tau, sort of 12, 13 years ago, there were several lovely big trees along the edge of this waterhole. Oh, there's some lovely bird life. It's been a lovely, our white-faced whistling ducks. It's been a lovely Sunday afternoon here. I have educated myself about oryx subspecies. I did not know that. So thank you all for pointing that out to me. I appreciate it. This is how we learn. I've spent very little time around these desert-loving animals, but now we know. Every day is a school day, and if it's not, then it should be. And I think my favourite part of today has been having young viewers get so involved and sharing this channel with their classmates. I fully encourage it. Children of today are the conservationists of the future. These waterbuck have been enjoying these aquatic plants in here for a couple of days now. And we thank you all very much for joining us, for your participation, for your involvement, for your enthusiasm, for your questions, for your comments, and for taking an interest in our fabulous natural world. Keep watching these cameras. There are many to choose from. The show will be back at the same time tomorrow, but in the meantime, keep your eyes on the cameras and watch for all the cool stuff. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday wherever you may be, and hopefully I will be back again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Welcome to Safari Spotlight, a journey to South Africa's wildlife wonders. Join us on an exciting virtual safari to relax, learn, and be inspired. Discover stunning landscapes, come to know our iconic animal stars, and witness profound moments in conservation. If you'd like to plan a safari adventure to these magnificent wildlife places, then visit Wild Earth Travel, where safari comes alive.